great to see the plants growing like this. The fruit on them, raspberries, growing really well. And the bushes look really generally healthy. Fruit's doing quite well, we've picked quite a bit already. But if you look in amongst the plants, in amongst the things that you want to be there, lots of things that you don't want to be there, like this weed. And it's sometimes tempting to think the only way to get rid of this is to dig everything up, because it's so invasive, you just can't get it all out. But if you dig everything up, you're going to disturb the raspberries as well, and then all this fruit isn't going to survive and like that very much. Jesus told a story to his disciples about something very similar. He said to them, the world is like a field. Someone came out and planted their best crops and they grew really well. But then overnight an enemy came and planted some weeds. And when they grew, there was a mixture of weeds and flowers together. And the farmhand said, let's dig everything up. The farmer was more wise and said, no, let's wait until it's all done, and then we'll dig it up, and then we'll be able to separate the two more easily. Second reading today is about Jacob. Now Jacob had a brother called Esau, an older brother, and he had managed, with the help of his mum, to thwart a rather underhand plot by his dad to give Esau the blessing. Esau was the oldest, but he'd already given his blessing away, so it was a bit dubious who it really belonged to. Jacob was the younger brother. The father, Isaac, said to Esau, let's do this, but he was going to do it in private, in secret. It had to be public for it to count, so it was all a bit underhand. Rebecca and Jacob learnt about the scheme and put their own plot in place to make sure that actually Jacob got the blessing, not Esau. So Jacob had fled and he was on the run, and when he was on the run, he was travelling, he stopped and he decided to spend the night, and he found a nice place to sleep, and when he was sleeping, it was then that he met God. As Jacob slept, he had a dream, and in the dream he saw a ladder reaching all the way from the earth up to heaven, and he saw angels going up and down the ladder constantly, connecting earth to heaven, linking the two. And then he saw God at the top, and God said to him, I am the Lord, the God of your grandfather, the God of your father, but not your God. And he said to Jacob, I will go with you, I will look after you, I'll protect you, I will make you a blessing to the earth and your descendants a blessing. And Jacob said, well, if you're going to do all that, that sounds good. You can be my God, I will be your follower. Compared the blessing that God gave him to the blessing he'd stolen. And you might wonder what these two stories have to do with each other, why the connection. But actually I think both of them are about God's relationship with the world and with the people he's created and put in it. These readings this morning shows that God is concerned about our world. He's concerned about how we live, what we do. He's not just remote in heaven, but as Jacob saw, there is a real connection between heaven and earth, between what we might think of as holy and up there and our world and our life down here. God is concerned with both. And that very vivid dream that Jacob saw showed him that God's angels are constantly going between the two. God is interested in both the heavenly and the worldly. He's interested in the best of us and the worst of us. Jacob had to learn that this wasn't just the God of his grandfather or his father. He had to be Jacob's God too. And Jesus told the story about the weeds in the field to help his disciples understand that not everything in the world is as it should be. God's connection with the world is close and intimate, not distant. These two readings teach us that God really wants to be close, really wants to be in our lives. And just as Jacob had to say, you are my God, I will serve you, that's something that each of us has to say as well. Is it something that we're ready to say in our lives just as Jacob did?